safari? Awesome. Okay, pretty important question. Are you guys ready to meet some really cool animals? Great. Well, we have a wide variety of different animals we'd love to introduce you to, all in focusing on what makes them so unique, adaptable to survive within their environment, as well as the impact that they play within their habitat. So in order for you guys to meet our first guest, we're going to have a little bit of a pop quiz. So I want you to shout out the answer nice and loud if you think you know it. Can anybody tell me what type of animal takes its shelter with it everywhere it goes?
Turtle.
Turtle, as simple as that, right? Well, coming on in, a pair of red-footed tortoises. So you are all technically correct, as a tortoise is simply a specialized turtle made to live on land. Now, the red-footed tortoise is native to South America, pretty unique, and they like to live in small family groups, which makes them a little bit more vocal by nature. Chirping, clicking, grunting, all ways to communicate with one another out in the wild. Now, a tortoise's life is absolutely a dream. 50% of every single day spent doing absolutely nothing. Yeah, 50% of their day. Now, the other 50% of their day is spent wandering around at a very slow tortoise pace, feeding on a wide variety of different plants. They're not too picky, which means that not just one plant grows in an area, and then a variety of different plants allows for a variety of other animals to live within a habitat. Now, the other way they're contributing is when they are eating. Over here, wandering off, going to the bathroom, who knows where, they're spreading the seeds that they've ingested around. So another way to contribute to plant growth within their habitat. Now, here at Wild Wonders, I hope you were not expecting too much out of a pair of tortoises, because they are perfectly on track to what we expect them to do each and every day. Being tortoises, they've done great at it, so let's give them a big round of applause. All right, there's simple lead into our next guest, and that's why we have them out here today, because our next guest are a little bit similar. Now, tortoises are reptiles with a shell. So this time here, shout it out nice and loud if you think you know the answer. Once again, what type of mammal, so a mammal like you and I, has a shell? Armadillos, I heard it right up front here. That's absolutely correct. Well, there's different types of armadillos. Remember, these guys are mammals just like you and me, but these here are our three-banded armadillos. Now, I'd love to start off by introducing you to Diego, because he will not be out here for long. He is very athletic, keeping his step count going all the way across the front. Now, luckily for everyone, you're about to meet a different type of armadillo, and that is a lazier version of Diego, the very lovely Dora. So she is completely rolled into a ball. This is the only type of armadillo that can close up completely, with their head being the larger triangle, and then their tail fits right in beside it. So she is completely protected in this state. Now, other armadillos, when they roll up, they still have a bit of their tummies exposed. So they do all practice the behavior of digging burrows, meaning they'll dig a hole in the ground, have their shell exposed to the outside, and be able to rest peacefully. Now, the larger 9-banded armadillos native to the southern United States, you see them in Texas and Florida, have had their burrows studied by scientists. By placing cameras on these burrows, they were wondering exactly what type of impact they were making in a habitat. So studying the footage, they found out that one single 9-banded armadillo burrow alone was visited by over 60 other species. That's quite the impact digging a hole in a habitat has made. Now, why exactly are they there? Well, perhaps they're just curious or are passing by, but maybe the armadillo has stirred up some food items that they would not have been able to expose themselves. Or resting in the hole like the armadillo has done, or even better, raising a family within that burrow. Now, it's quite a simple movement to make in order to survive that the armadillo does, digging a burrow, but it's quite the impact they also make within their habitat. Now, these is a lesser anteater. That's what you're probably going to want to call her. That adorable little face gives it away that she is an anteater. Lesser being smaller in size and living in the treetops, unlike the giant anteaters that live on the ground. So Annie here has a pretty unique adaptation, which would be her prehensile tail, using it to hold on to branches up in the trees, ensuring her safety. Now this might be a good time to point out the closest living relative to the anteater, the sloth. Yeah, can you tell? No, it's pretty lazy by nature. Annie has two modes, and it is sleepy or go. So we're hoping she'll soak in some sunshine and then start to explore this habitat out here a little bit. Now have a look at those very large claws. Allows her to hold on to her tree branches, allows her to be an excellent climber. She can even dig at the bark up in the trees, feeding on any insects underneath there. But if she wants a nice big meal, it's dinner time, she's going to make her way all the way down to the ground, find an anthill or termite mound, and start to feed. Now that shiny fur you're seeing on her is coarse, it is dense, and helps to protect her as the ants or bugs start to bite back. Now she also is smart enough to know that if she ate all of that termite mound or anthill, there would be none left tomorrow. So leaving a little bit and moving on from one to the next allows her that opportunity. Now her snout that makes her so easily identified as an anteater is her specialized tool for feeding on these insects. She can stick it right inside the termite mound or anthill, and inside it she has absolutely no teeth at all. She doesn't need them because she is drinking and slurping up those ants just like a smoothie. Her tongue is 12 inches long, it's sticky and barbed, picking up those ants very quickly, allowing her to be quick and effective when she is attacking and feeding on her favorite stuff. Now being a lesser tamandua, she's also feeding in the treetops on a little bit of a variety of a diet when she also consumes some softer fruits within her habitat. Now Annie has an excellent sense of smell, giant ears that help her protect her as well as she navigates through her habitat, hearing anything around her, but typically will wander around during the night or even at dawn at dusk when there's less predators in her habitat. I think she's had a sleepy start to our presentation, but she's done a pretty good job exploring out here today. Let's say goodbye to Annie. Bye. Very well known in the animal kingdom for his rolling, laughing call. Coming in from the back is Fez. Fez is a laughing kookaburra. So this little bird is certainly well known in Australia. They're quite abundant in their numbers, kind of considered to be a pest species in their native habitat. They are very abundant, as I said, but they're also quite loud. The call that they make that makes them so easily recognized, said to sound like the laughter of children, is often heard at dawn and at dusk, claiming the edges of their territory from one kookaburra to the next. Now he has a very close relative that lives right here in North America, which is our belted kingfishers. We do have quite a few out on our train lake, of course, out there fishing away as their name would suggest. And the laughing kookaburra is in fact the largest member of the kingfisher family. Now I'm really hoping he has a little bit to laugh about today, so let's see what he has in store. Just a few little chuckles, not too bad out here today, Fez. I think we're gonna give you one last snack before you head on home. Naturally in the wild, these guys are feeding on small mammals, reptiles, and even the abundance of insects of Australia. He's done an excellent job. Let's hear it for Fez.
Non-native or invasive species. And that is exactly what Miss Joanna is going to come out to help me talk about. Now Joanna, or Jojo as we like to call her, is an Argentine black and white tegu. So as her name suggests, she is of course from Argentina and the surrounding areas. But these guys have found themselves all the way up in Florida. And no, they definitely didn't get there by themselves with those little teeny tiny legs you see she has. They actually got there through pet owners and pet merchants alike. Now you might be wondering, who in their right mind would want this size of a lizard wandering around their home? Well, when they're babies, they're very small and very cute. Then they grow up to be Joanna's size or bigger, with males reaching up to 5 feet long. That is a whole lot of lizard to have roaming around your house. Of course, to keep up with this large size, they have very large appetites as well. So this makes them quite tricky pets to keep. So unfortunately, these pet owners release their unwanted tegus into their backyards, hoping nature will take its course, but it doesn't. These guys are extremely, extremely adaptable. Even being able to change from ectotherms to endotherms mean they can now control their body temperature just like mammals do. They're competing with native lizard species for their resources, as well as, of course, eating up lots of tasty alligator, crocodile, and turtle eggs that line the sandy shorelines down in Florida. Of course, non-native species also bring a whole host of germs, bacteria, and diseases with them that the native flora and fauna is not able to compete with. So all these factors cause those native species population numbers to be severely decreasing. Well, these guys' population numbers in Florida are skyrocketing. And although they are skyrocketing in Florida, unfortunately, in their native environments of Argentina and Chile, their population numbers are actually decreasing. And this is due to things like people using their beautiful, beautiful skin for fancy bags and shoes. So although Joanna causes us absolutely no trouble here at Safari, her species is a very good example of just how wrong things can go when you introduce non-native species to an environment. And I did have a chat with her just this morning, and she asked me if you guys would be willing to take a pledge for her. How does that sound?
Sure.
Yeah? I'll get you to raise your hand and repeat after me then. I will never.
I will never.
Never, ever, ever. Release my pet into the wild. Well, we certainly know that makes Joanna extremely happy, and I think she deserves a great big round of applause for sharing that all too important message. Will be Sandy, and he is one of our ball pythons. Now I hear the oohs and the ahs. And don't worry, Sandy knows he's not a fan favorite. You need to have a very good bite on that prey, build a wrap around it, give it a really good squeeze, and then swallow it whole. And you know, we're not too worried about Steven's safety as he handles Sandy up front, as again, he's a non-venomous snake. And he's not that hungry because we did feed him a few misbehaving children just this morning. Of course, I'm just joking. If we take a look at the size of Sandy, he can only eat something as big as the widest part of his body. And for Sandy, his favorite treats are mice and rats. And he has no idea the favor he's doing for you and I in liking to eat these tasty treats. In doing so, he's taking away all those nasty problems that rodents like to bring with them. All the nasty germs, bacteria, and viruses that come along with them, as well as all the destructive issues to our homes, gardens, and our farmlands. So although your instincts might be to run and hide from such an impressive predator, maybe next time we see a snake that's on the tree, that's a porcupine.
I'll work, but you can't eat him either.
Why did you switch So the closest thing we have to a crocodile is maybe our tegu. So that's, yeah, we don't have any crocodiles. So the crocodile on the side, they used to have one.
It's Mona.
I don't know if she'll roll. She's very, very shy. So most days she likes to stay curled up in her little ball. Maybe she'll open up today. But she runs very similar to Diego. She has long claws and she's going to use those to run them.
This is the girl. Excuse me?